Me too. All right, so let's begin. Let's begin seated. All right. I'm just gonna move some of my stuff. I've been doing a little mini yin training, which is actually Robin took it last time I did it with Juliet, and so I've got all my stuff. So let me just move it out of the way. And so in the seated position, you guys take anything that you may need for support. And it's kind of a cool, like, special morning to be doing this with the solar eclipse. I don't know if you guys got out to see it or not. I've been trying not to look into the sun because I would be the girl that would. And I also think it's like a new moon today too, or something. So it's kind of a neat morning, I feel like, to be doing a practice. So in that, we know that there is kind of a special quality. Let's just take the beginning moments with our eyes closed and maybe drawing into, just awareness and acknowledgement of our bodies, of coming to our practice, and also meeting, a morning that doesn't always happen like this. And so kind of meet this special, unique, like, livelihood. And as humans, being drawn towards that can be a very, comfortable or exciting feeling sometimes. And I feel as we're coming out of the winter and coming out of a year where our lives have been, changed, that it's important to take these times where, it's a little cooler this morning. There's a uniqueness to the atmosphere. And just like spending maybe some time sitting in it. And as we sit in it, I'd like us to work with a more kind of expansive breath practice and feeling like the filling of the capacity, like the reservoir of where the air is stored in our body. So feeling the capacity of the lungs, the filling, front to back of the body, side to side of the body, and the same capacity of kind of emptying the reservoir. And so a bit of filling our cup, with this like pranic or quality of essential air. And then the emptying of like the non-essential air, or the more stagnant prana. So just work the practice here, eyes closed or open, but noting the vessel. And kind of moving into like a rhythmic quality of expansion and receding. Good, and then taking the right arm like back straight and take it up overhead, kind of straight arc it towards the left knee. And when it lands on the left knee, then I want you to kind of like vacuum seal or suck the abdominals back so that internal like activation of muscles changes the back shape of the spine. So feeling like you're vacuum sealing or drawing into more of like a cat-like shape, beginning through the abdomens, and then let the head drop in, completing the cat shape. And I want you to stay with an expansive breath practice here for whatever that is. Restriction in the abdomen may, alter or change the physicality of expansion. And that's okay. Just take it for what it is. But work kind of like with a smile into like feeling a filling of the reservoir and an emptying of the reservoir with whatever restrictions from the physical body are kind of working into that. It's okay. Good. One more round with your breathing. And then take the hands so they're all the way over towards the left mat. The right fingertips may or may not reach. Mine don't totally reach, maybe a little bit. But you can walk that left hand out or kind of work that the arms are in a more straight position. And keep kind of vacuum sealing that abdominals back towards the spine. Head drops. And notice kind of the sensations that you create. Oftentimes we should kind of feel this through maybe more so the back of the right side body. 3 rounds, expanding into the breath for however that, shows up. And then after that third breath, come out of this, spine comes up straight, and then I want you to twist off to the right-hand side, just seated twist. 3 fuller breaths. And then returning back with the spine and the gaze center. Take a few like inhales through the nostrils and good solid out the mouth, and do that like 2 or 3 times. Good. And then kind of hone back into practicing with a very direct focal point. And maybe just aware of the natural breath. And so the natural breath, in my terminology, is like not interfering in it, but aware of its presence as it doesn't need help coming in and out of the body. Good. And then from that natural breath, move into interfering, into building 3 breaths that, again, are more expansive in nature. And then after that third round, left arm comes back behind you. Make it a straight arm, arcing, reaching over towards the right knee. When it lands there, draw the abdominals back. So kind of vacuum sealing back and then work the head down. So that the beginning of this cat-like shape is really coming more from the internal engagement of abdominal muscles. 3 fuller breaths here. After the third breath, then let those hands reach down towards the right-hand side of your mat. Walk the arms out to kind of varying degrees. So you're working towards a straighter arm. Keep the abdominals kind of drawing back. And again, work into 3 fuller breaths and however, that shows up. Good. From that third breath, come back up with the body and then twist off over to the left. Three rounds of breathing. Good. Coming back, center. Gaze is focused. And then let's take another kind of like whooshing in through the nostrils and a good old whooshing out through the mouth, maybe 2 or 3 times. Good. And then pause. Non-interference. And just kind of residing. And then from that residing, begin to build in, bit of detail with musculature in order to draw up the spinal column. I want you to work with some of the musculature of more so upper abdominals and that kind of like vacuum sealing back, not necessarily becoming a cat-like spine, but maybe in drawing back and tucking up under the ribs. So working with a bit of a bandha here in the elevating of the rib cage, the elevating of the sternum, and like the opening of the chest. And then try to keep, the gaze more forward. So the chin kind of more parallel with the floor. And then from this positioning, keeping the shoulders down, like really pretty still and solid, let's take some movement with the head and neck. And that could be either side to side, or if you want to work it into like some circular half circles or full circles. But that the shoulders down, like the muscles are still active. You're taking circles if you need to reverse the direction or even hold into any spots that may want a little bit more attention. Good, and then find that the head finds its placement above the spine. And then we're going to interlace our fingertips and place them at the back of our head. So maybe the thumbs are kind of like, my thumbs are a little bit on my neck, and then my pinky finger and those fingers are more up on my skull. We're going to come into a little bit of a fire breath practice, which I want us to do solely through the nostrils, so both breath. And so we'll use the inhale to kind of come into our cow-like shape, so the belly presses forward, and the exhale, more of a cat-like shape. And so begin to move. You could start with like a slower fire breath and then move it into like, you know, picking up the pace, but find a rhythm here. So then slow this down. And then when that spinal pelvic movement finds some stillness, keep the hands behind the head and just take the right elbow. See if you can get it down towards the left knee. Mine doesn't reach all the way, so yours doesn't have to either, but work towards that kind of. And then as you're drawing the right elbow down towards the left knee, you know, let there be a little bit of gentle pressure in kind of maybe drawing into this, and just hold there. Good. Coming back up straight, release the hands, twist off to the right hand side. And in this twist here, see if you can draw the chin so that it comes towards the left shoulder, it comes towards the center of the chest, and then it comes towards the right shoulder. So it's almost like doing like a little bit of a half neck roll, but kind of more working with the chin, just kind of like gracing the front of the body and then working towards the shoulder. Good. And then pause just in stillness for one more breath, and maybe working into that expansive kind of nature of breathing. Good. And then coming back through center, interlacing the fingertips, press the palms forward, draw the abdominals back, make your cat-like shape. Good. Head comes back up, hands with their interlace now come back behind. And we're going to come back into like that movement that we've been doing cow and cat, with the fire breath coming through the nostrils. Okay. Good. Slow that down. And in that process of slowing the movement, when it kind of lands in a stiller space, draw the left elbow down towards the right knee. And noticing like the spaces of resistance and kind of non-resistance, and see if you can just kind of, you know, allow a bit of a softening into this pull, or this like feeling of, you know, gravity wants to kind of draw us down, but certain aspects of joints can't, you know, go all the way down. But there also could be kind of tension in the musculature that may not need to grip so tight. Good, have this come back up. Twist this off, left-hand side. And in the twist, the same thing. If you want to work with the chin, kind of coming into one shoulder, through the center of the body or through chin to chest, and then towards the other shoulder, just kind of creating, you know, like maybe even making like a smiley face with the chin if you're thinking about it drawing a shape. Good, and then twist that off and just hold for one breath. Full in nature. Good, coming back through center. Interlace fingertips, press those palms forward, draw the muscles back to help create the cow-like shape. Then chin comes into chest. Good, head rises, arms come down by your side, and just pause for a moment. And maybe pause without kind of interference. And just kind of sitting in the special, you know, kind of uniqueness of many given moments, you know, whether they're desirable or not. All aspects of life and being have value. Good, hold for a few more moments. And then moving into tabletop. And then from tabletop, I want you to just lift your knees up as if you were going to go into down dog. And then begin to work towards lowering them, but they're not going to touch the mat. And let's use a little bit of a fire breath here. So inhale, they're going to come up. Exhale, they're going to lower, but they're never going to touch the mat. Okay, so work with your breath here. Keep going. Then stop this movement, sending the body right up into downward dog as a bit more of a restful space. Yes, there's a lot of engagement, but see if you can find some elements of rest here and maybe coming back to the deeper, fuller breath in that aspect. Good, drop the knees. Let's do one more round. So hover, fire breath, inhale up, exhale down, and pump it. Down dog, rest. Deep, expansive breath. Good. Take the right leg forward, thread it between your hands, knee is bent into a lunge. And then a slow inhale to straighten the front right leg. So maybe kind of thinking about that fuller breath, and a slow exhale to bend back in the knee. And this is our next movement. So use the kind of zipping of the inhale into the body slowly to really straighten the front right leg. Exhale, kind of slowly descend back into the bent knee. Keep going with that. Let's take one more. And then right foot is going to go back to meet left foot, high plank. Come down onto the forearms if need be. Hold. And in the holding, really work towards strength building and feeling that the muscles want to squeeze towards the bones. Like do some vacuum sealing of deeper internal spaces. Stay strong with the arms. One more breath. Drop down, wide-legged child's pose. And let the body rest. And in that space of rest, take 3 expansive breaths. So work kind of the energy of exertion into drawing in, filling of the reservoir, and emptying of that reservoir. And then just breathe naturally as the body kind of acclimates. Good, one more moment here. And then funnel back up into downward dog. And just kind of noticing the nature of downward dog. Find some presence of feeling a bit more like restful here. So that strength can coincide with softness. Like they can walk together. Good, then drop down into the hovering of the knees. We're gonna do a little bit more zipping with our kind of pumping action from that downward dog and our fire breath, okay? So inhale up, exhale down, go. 2 more. Down dog. Expansive breath. And then natural breath. In from the natural breath. The left leg now is going to come forward. Knee is bent between the hands. And we're going to move That slower straightening of the front leg with a really deep full inhale. Exhale as that slow descend back to the knee bending. Good, take one more. And then step your right foot to meet your left foot, forward fold. Working in your forward fold towards the concept of straightening the legs. It may not actually happen, and that's totally okay. Just work towards, again, drawing the presence of the awareness internal into kind of designing like a little bit more depth. Head hangs, jaw hangs, and again, let strength or engagement meet elements of softness. Hold for one more breath. And then rise all the way up to standing, arms up overhead. We're going to take some movement with just half sun sow. So keep the arms up. Inhale. Use the muscles to draw up a little bit more through the spine. Exhale into your forward fold. Inhale, a half lift. Exhale back to your forward fold. And then inhale, rise back up to standing. And that's what we'll move through. Okay, exhale back into your forward fold. So take this as slow or as defined as you'd like to, but keep using the quality of the breath. The inhale is the half lift, exhale, forward fold. Inhale, you rise back up. Exhale back into your forward fold. So you keep moving through this at like kind of the dictation of the pace you want with your breath and the movement of your body. Good, let's take one more. Finishing by coming into mountain pose. And when you land in mountain pose, take 3 expansive breaths in nature. And then just kind of resolve to be still. And resolve to kind of not interfere, but still hold like some structural integrity through the legs. Maybe all the way up through the spine. Notice the structural support from underneath the ribs. Maybe a subtle tucking of the tailbone. Good, interlacing the fingertips in front of you, press those palms forward. Draw the muscles back towards the spine, chin into chest, creating that cat-like shape. Maybe there's a little bit of a bend in the knees. Good, zip this back up to center. Make space between the hands, so Urdhva Hastasana, keep the arms up overhead, sink back into chair pose. Interlace the fingertips and place them again at the base of the head. Good, and then keep seeking your bottom kind of like back and down. See if you can come just like a little bit lower, not by just dropping, but by really scooching the butt back. This may mean that the back starts to flatten a little bit more, or that the belly kind of comes onto the thighs a little bit more. And then I want you to take your right elbow and take it over towards the left knee. And the head is going to drop. Knees want to stay more level. Good, come back up, keep the hands behind the head. And then draw the left elbow over towards the right knee. Come back up, hands behind the head, release, come into your forward fold. Hands plant down, feet step back, high plank. Hold. Drop the knees. Hips kind of swish off over towards the left-hand side and let the gaze look out over towards the right toe. And then change that. Knees come back up, and then the hips shift off over to the right, and the gaze looks off over to the left. Do that a few more times. Good, come back into stillness in tabletop, coming up into down dog. And in down dog, let's take our feet wide. And then really kind of feel the presence of the hands, like really pressing down into the floor and really sending the butt kind of like, or the tailbone up a little bit higher. And then take right hand to outside of left ankle or left leg, ideally, and twist the body off. So it's kind of like rotating underneath the left elbow, the left armpit, excuse me, like, or that gaze is looking out in that direction. See if you can expand the breath here. Good, take the right hand back down. Press the hands into the mat. See if you can send the tailbone up a little bit higher. And then take the left hand to the outer right ankle or the right leg. Gaze looking out underneath the right armpit. Good, left hand comes down. Press again back into the mat with the hands, send the tailbone back. Hold for one more breath. And then have the feet come a little bit closer together as they walk towards the hands back into your forward fold. The next inhale, rise. Arms come up overhead. Exhale, flat back, forward fold. Begin that movement back into the half sun salad with your breath. Inhale is half lift. Exhale is a forward fold. Inhale, you rise and keep on going. And really continue to press the boundaries with the physicality, the muscles, maybe the straightening of the legs a little bit more, being really strong in the thighs. A lot of reach coming into standing and that shelf-like space under the ribs. And see how you can integrate the breath like into that partnership. Good, take one more round. Landing in mountain pose. Three expansive breaths in mountain pose. And then just resolve to be still and not interfere. And just kind of enjoying like the presence of the moment, whatever that is, with the understanding that everything has value. Everything has the ability to converse with like a necessary aspect of living. And then keeping structural stability from the shoulders down. Take any movement with the head and neck. Side to side, circular, slow, holding, maybe designing it a little quicker. And then the head comes back still on top of the spine. Interlace the fingertips, press the palms forward, move the body into your cat-like shape, maybe bending slightly in the knees. Good. Inhale, take those arms up overhead. Exhale, let the arms come down by your side, then interlacing them behind the back, squeezing the shoulder blades together. Gaze can look up or forward, or if you want to take this into like a little bit more of extension into a back bend. But notice the presence of where your body's at, and then it doesn't have to be driven by what the mind feels we should do. All levels and angles of this position have value. Good, releasing from here, hands to the top of the hips, and using that positioning with the arms on top of the pelvis coming into your forward fold. And when you fold forward, the arms can hang down. And see if you can just slide the hands underneath your feet, or you can grab the big toe. But work towards kind of straightening or flattening the hands, maybe even like working towards like the wrist coming down, head hangs, jaw hangs, or you can kind of grab the big toe in encouraging a bit more, pull or a gentle pull from the lower back. Good, one more breath. Let the hands go. Step the feet back into high plank. Holding in high plank just for a few breaths. And then back into a wide-legged child's pose and just let the body rest. And in that moment of rest, let's come into 3 bigger, expansive, right? Interfering in the filling and the receding, and then just more natural, non-interfering. And in the non-interfering, listen to the beat of the body. And let that be enough. And that sensations are just sensations. Good, rise tabletop. And then use tabletop as an entrance into pigeon. And it could be just a slight variation of pigeon with the right leg coming forward and the left leg straight back or bent. Like you could come even into like a deer-like posture, or this can be done on your back. So both legs could be bent, or the back leg straight, and then rest into that posture wherever you are. If you're in deer, which is bent both legs, I always like a fist over fist and the forehead rests on the fist. Sensations being sensations. Listen to the beat of the body or the beat of the breath or the symbiotic, occurrences that happen all the time underneath the skin. Good. And then moving out of this into tabletop. And maybe just some of that side to side movement that we did earlier. Good. And let's take one more sleeping pigeon or sleeping swan, as we know in yin. The left leg now coming forward. Again, the back right leg doesn't have to be straight. Both knees could be bent. That is a total option. And coming onto the back is an option as well. And then finding, like, again, the place of rest despite what is firing or despite what is heard. Sensations, like, kind of look beyond that. They're just sensations. And they're very important in terms of our survival and keeping our bodies whole and alive. But so isn't the undercurrent of our breathing and the constant symbiotic relationships that exist in the organs and the systems and the energetics that aren't within sight's view. We can still listen for them. Good, a few more breaths. And then coming to tabletop and any amount of like wiggling or movement. And then from that movement, I want you to find a support or a comfortable seated position. We'll close in meditation. But feel like heavily cushioned if you need that or need things underneath your knees. I want you to feel a level of comfort in your seat and then a level of structure in the positionality of the spine. And here too, take any movement through the head and neck or through the shoulders in kind of adjusting to that particular position. And then when you land there, eyes can close or stay open. And so our only real interference here is working with muscular action in adapting or carrying the spine in an upright position. Otherwise, I just want you to kind of work into like non-interfering and more residing, more yielding into how this position in this moment appears. And knowing that that's just enough. Good. Stay here as long as you need. I do have to say, if you heard that noise, it was one of my chickens, a hawk just like flew right in front of us over our yard. So I'm sorry to interrupt this like session, but it was kind of very unique and lovely. So you guys stay here as long as you need. It was fantastic to see you all, and have a really good day. Thank you all for doing this with me, because I mean, it's good for me too. Namaste, my friends. We'll see you soon.